three big masquerades, and I don't know how I'm going to escort masquerades to the market. So maybe I'll just hide under the canopy. But I believe it's going to be an interesting session for everyone that is joining us, and we'll just start right away. I'll start by introducing the panelists, Mr. Gbenga. Mr. Gbenga is an emerging thought leader with interest in
let's
people.
Let's do ladies first, though. Please.
Leave
I want to
that thing.
Please. In no order. I'm taking it. I'm taking it in no order.
Do the right thing. On a more serious note, I think we should honor the ladies first before.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't mind, I want to believe people joining also know our profiles, so we can just jump right into the conversation.
Yeah.
And I believe I'm speaking the mind of Taiwo.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we can jump into the conversation. All right. So Mr. Gbenga, as we all know, is the group head human resource for Consolidated Hallmark Insurance PLC, and we have Mrs. Taiwo, who is the group head of HR for Mutual Benefit Assurance PLC, and we also have Mrs. Abdulkareem, who is a senior HR manager with Leadway Assurance Company Limited. So just like Mr. Gbenga said, we'll just jump right into it. And it's quite unfortunate that I'm still going to go back to Mr. Gbenga. He said ladies first, but he will be the first person I'm going to throw the question. So a lot has been heard about you, Mr. Gbenga. What do you want us to know about? I mean, what are your plans? What are you up to? What do you want to be known for this year, 2021? You're mute, sir. Mr. Gbenga, you're mute.
All right, thanks. I think someone else muted all participants, and at that point it affected me. So thanks again for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here. On a personal note, I honestly do not think this year is going to be any different from the standpoint of being very spectacular for me, and at least for what I see for the profession. To a very large extent, the HR profession, Nigerians, and the world had a very peculiar 2020. And for a number of people, the desires and the plans for last year sort of spilled over into 2021, at least for me. And so for me, the plan is to remain human before I'm a professional, and then before I wear the business cap. Those are the things I'm concerned about. I just want to deepen my knowledge, deepen my growth as a human being, and continue to learn and add value to myself and subsequently the work that I do. But in more specific terms, in terms of my contribution to the HR space for this year, I came into the year with a heavy burden about people who lost their jobs, who couldn't get promoted, who got salaries slashed last year. And I have a personal commitment to, throughout the course of the year, to just help professionals back on their feet. If I can help you get a job directly, at least I will be referring you to people that I know in the space that are looking for jobs. That's my focus for the year.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga. We'll go back to Mrs. Abdulkareem. Can we know you better, Ma? A lot has also been said about you, and people know some of the works that you've done across the HR profession, but there are some of the participants that might not have come across you. So,
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you for having me. The entire faculty member of Rome Business School, the students and the leaders are amidst me this afternoon. I feel so honored to be here this afternoon, and I feel so humble to be able to share as well. Like you said, my name is Kaosara Abdulkareem. I've been in the HR space for quite some time now, a decade and a half, yes, and handling strategic human resources. So I currently work for an insurance company, a composite insurance company. Leadway Assurance has been around for 5 decades now. So in my current role as a senior HR business partner, team lead of HR business partner, I work directly and closely with the business leader to create their stories, their success story. Thank you. That is who I am. So I'm looking forward to an engaging session this afternoon. Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. And over to you, Mrs. Taiwo. I would like to ask, what is the driving force? I mean, what drives you as a person and as a thought leader in the HR profession?
When you ask, when you have qualified me as a thought leader. For me, I will still say I'm a shameless learner, and I'm still just learning. But just to put perspective and context to your question, I would say more like offering guidance within the profession, trying to be unique, trying to create that uniqueness around the human resource profession, more around influencing people. So how do we do things differently? How do we bring creativity within that space? So I always want to be at the forefront of doing things differently within the profession, and I'm bringing this to bear in my various little projects I do here and there. So just to create that creativity, offer guardians, and then set a uniqueness around the human resource profession. Basically that. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Once again, I'll say you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and also to our esteemed participants this afternoon. So our topic of discussion today is creating a learning culture in a workplace. And someone said something. He said, I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. And so we, as professionals, we're looking at how an organization can actually create a culture of learning, which is much of something that is missing, and this comes in the form of training and development. And once an institution is able to make it a culture, it becomes something that goes with the organization. As we can see in the case of Toyota, a lot of people argue that Toyota is what it is today because of the work ethics of Japanese. But somewhere along the line, people got to realize that it's not just that Toyota has a learning culture that is second to none. And so they've been able to duplicate that even in their factories in US, their factories in Asia and Africa. So it's not just about the work ethics of the Japanese, but a culture that the organization has built. And today, that's is the area, that'll be the area of our focus for today. And so I'll be asking Mrs. Taiwo, what is culture, and what different types of culture can we find at work?
Thank you. Okay, so for me, in my own simple terms, I would define culture as the way of life of a group of people and the meanings they read to it. The way of life of a group of people and the meanings they read to it. So we have people in clusters, people in groups, people, and then how do they interact? How do they communicate? And the way they do this, what are the kinds of meanings they read to it? Now, bringing it to the organizational space or climb, I would say is basically about the beliefs, the shared values, the interaction, everything within a business. Now, also, culture is intangible. You can't hold culture, but you can feel it, you can perceive it. So the culture of an organization determines what drives everything within the business. How they communicate, how they manage performance, how they recruit, how their meetings are done, every single thing. That is culture. While it is not tangible, it can be felt, it can be perceived. So when you enter into an environment, what you feel with the way people move around, the way they interact, that is culture. And it drives everything. A wrong culture, and then strategy is zero. That's why you will hear the word that says that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. So strategy stays on one pillar, culture stays on one pillar, but culture drives everything. Now, moving to what are the kinds of culture that we have. There are two interesting ones, actually four, which I will speak about, but there are two interesting ones that move me all the time. And that's the clan culture, which we could also call the family-oriented culture. So here it's more like man, no man, we know ourselves. Performance or a reward is a given. Performance is at the lowest rung of the ladder in terms of strategy and all that. Well, this is more familiar with owner-managed enterprises or organizations or businesses that are just springing up.
Absolutely.
Where decision-making is at the whims and caprices of the owner. And even the people that even work in the business are attracted from, I know this person, come and work for me and all that. So there's no real formal culture. So we call that the family-oriented culture or the clan culture. Now we have the guided missile culture. Now when I talk about the guided missile culture, that's more around the market culture. Here is more about result-oriented. It's extremely competitive. Employees have their goals that are stretched, and then reward is a given and it is measured. When I say reward, it could be positive, it could be negative. So you find out that they have a strong performance management system in place. From recruitment all through the activities of the value chain is more driven around performance. They're deliberate in the way they do things. So that's more about the marketplace or the guided missile culture. Now we have the hierarchy culture. For this one, they are more for stable organizations, corporates that have been in existence for a while. Things are moving more on an autopilot way of things. There are policies, there are processes, there are people, everything is moving in a smooth way. Now, employees in this kind of environment may enjoy themselves because some things are just a given. Salaries are paid on certain days, performance appraisal is done at a particular period, KPIs are set at the beginning of the year. Is more of a formalized environment. Now, the interesting one is more around, we call it the advocacy. Here is more, in that organization, there are more risk takers, they take risk. So it's more of an innovation environment. Employees are allowed to use their initiative. The company invests a lot of money around innovation. So you have them having maybe an innovation lab, they have series of sessions, they're open to extreme programs. So those are the four kinds of culture that may happen or may exist in different organizations or corporates.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Taiwo. You've been able to establish the four types of culture that can happen in an organization. So the platform is open for the other panelists to also contribute on this question.
What I'd like to add to that, and thanks a lot, Taiwo,
okay.
for that.
Thank you, Sam.
Go ahead.
GT, can go ahead.
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Shall I?
Ladies first.
Okay. So thank you.
The gentleman.
Gentleman, okay. Thank you, Taiwo. Thank you, TDA, for that profound explanation. You've touched it all. And I love your explanation around the type of culture. Yes, that was actually done by Cameron and the Queens and Cameron. So that was a very good, fantastic explanation you've given. So I would just love to add that culture is like a DNA. Culture is a personality, is a way of life of people. So when you say organizational culture, it is the personality of that organization that ultimately drive this happiness and the satisfaction of people in that organization. So in addition to what TD has said, I would love to give the slogan that is being used by this different type of cultures. So when she said clan culture, she rightly puts is a family culture. So their slogan is usually we are in it together. So they are always doing things together. They are always collaborating together. Communication is key for them. They come up, team bonding, team spirit is in for them. So the second one is advocacy that she explained very well. So their slogan is you risk it to get a biscuit. So when the only thing they understand is innovation and creativity. So they allow their employee to make mistakes. They allow because they believe mistakes and failure are part of learning and growth. So you risk it. So she has done a fantastic job also explaining that. So as the name implies, is all about the back of every employee mind is profitability in this business to win the business. And the last one is there are rules and regulations.
Oh, I think we lost our network is quite unstable. Yes. Yes, sir. I think you can.
Okay. Great explanation. What I just wanted to add to it, so those 4 models or types, if you notice, the central line there is the size of the organization or or where they are in their growth as an organization. So by that I mean, for instance, if you look at most startup businesses, in your first 2-3 years, and in some cases up to 5 years, it's almost that family-oriented or that sort of environment, or a very risk-taking, a very loose environment, no stable structure. Job roles can change from one week to another, and size can go up and come down at different times. A very loose and fluid environment. But then if you go into more established organizations that have done 20, 50 years, they are more established, things are structured and things like that. What I have seen though in my study of structure, culture in the last 3 years or thereabout, there's a central line that rests on leadership, and leadership not at the top now, but on team leadership. So if you look at what you have as the culture of most organizations, established or small, the strength of that culture often relies on line managers. So go to an organization as big and as global as Google, and what you will see is in certain functions or units or locations, there is either a semblance in terms of activity or the temperature in that unit is either the same with what the organization expects or it's totally different. And if you compare teams to teams or subsidiaries to subsidiaries, what you see to be the real determining factor here is the attitude of the line managers and how that line manager interprets and translates what it is that is the company culture. And we see that all over the place. And if you come to smaller organizations as well, that's what you see. So it's important that as we look at the subject of culture, how to create it, how to design, and how to maintain it, we must not forget, and we say leadership rests on culture rests on leadership. Let's be very quick to emphasize that that leadership is not just one that sits at the top, because the bigger the organization or the further down the line you are in your growth, senior executive leadership will become increasingly distant from, the only time you may see your CEO may be maybe say at recruitment level, depending on the recruitment process. And for some other organizations, you can see your CEO, in fact, you can share a desk with your CEO, right? But what matters is, and that's why when you are recruiting at line manager level, be very, very, and that's why you see some organizations, one that I know has done it perfectly is BAT. They hardly recruit externally at middle management. They hardly do. They pride themselves on that. So what they do is they emphasize on leadership development from the very beginning, from the entry stage. And if you walk into an average BAT office, you will struggle to pin who the leader is, because there's almost like a similarity in age, outlook, and things like that. They are very, and then even as a leader, you often can't go to the next phase of your career in that organization if you have not groomed someone else to take over your current role. So I'm just re-emphasizing on the basis of the types and the different models. There are two legs, which is the size and age of the organization, but more importantly, is the place of line managers and what influence they have on leadership, on culture. Yeah, thanks. That was what I wanted to add to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga.
My pleasure.
Mrs. Abdul, I would like to ask you, what we mean by a learning culture? A lot has been said about the different types of the learning culture. We'd like to hear your thoughts.
Thank you once again, Sam. Like we've defined and we've all talked about, culture is a way of life. So there have been a lot of misconception around learning culture, because a lot of organizations believe learning culture is about the mix of learning, the type of knowledge, the training hours, the courses and seminars that we do in an organization. It goes beyond that. So when we say learning culture, it's all about nurturing and impacting growth mindsets in every employee in that organization. So we have organization, we have training, we have a lot of things we are doing. So how are these training being impacted to our employee? So what is the mindset of people around training? What is their perception about training? Peter Senge did a lot of work around this, and I think I find them to be very profound. He defined learning culture as a type of culture in an organization where the employee in that organization continually expand their capacity, their capability, their competency to create their future. So what does that mean? You agree with me that learning culture is not a short term. Culture is enduring. Culture is in the long run. Culture is futuristic. So it's not something that we do now and we get now. So we have organizations that are doing well. They spend a lot of money on their training goals. They come together to do their KPI around their training. They get a robust training budget. They get a top-notch faculty. They have beautiful curriculum. But is it adding up? Are they getting return on their investment? Are they gaining the learning culture that they so desire? So is it real? Are they saying it's real or is it an illusion? So the culture is not about the mix of courses. It's not about the mix of seminars or webinars or podcasts that we do in an organization. It goes beyond that. It is to continually expand our post, our capacity, our capability as an employee, because it will ultimately influence the happiness and satisfaction of that organization. So that is what learning culture is, for me, is all about. It's what we do on a daily basis. So, and that is why we emphasize that when we are doing our recruitment, when we are doing our competency framework or onboarding, we put it in from the beginning. We put it in from the beginning. We don't wait to when the employee comes in and you'll be enforcing one culture or learning culture or training in our employees. So you bring the right people that are always willing to learn, that are always willing to apply this knowledge, that are always willing to share this knowledge, and also willing to expand their post. And ultimately, it's going to be a win-win for the employee of that organization and organization as a whole. That'll be all for me for now. Thank you.
All right. Oh, thank you so much, Ma. That's quite insightful. And I'll go back to Mr. Gbenga. Mrs. Abdulkareem has said a lot. I would like to ask you, sir, so how do we now cascade culture around the work environment? You know, she has talked about the learning culture. So if an organization now want to cascade the learning culture around her work environment, how do they do that?
In fact, I was very honest. I know the two people that I'm sharing this panel with, and I know their experience and how sincere they are with their work. If we're being honest, this 2020 has been difficult. To answer that question in its purest form, it's been very difficult since 2020. As people in the HR function, we talked about flexi work hours. We talked about from work-life balance to work-life integration. We mentioned it. We thought it. We read it in the books. What we didn't know was what the effect was going to be like on us if we enter the situation that we're on in since 2020. It's a lot better now, I must say, but it's almost like a going concern for a lot of us. So for me, and I'll tie it back to what Abdulkareem just said. It's honestly, the moment we're able to make learning personal to all employees, we're good. Because from a workplace standpoint, I look at it from this whole learning culture thing. I look at it from two angles. One is where you can create a pull effect around learning, or you create a push effect around learning. So how do I explain it? The pull effect is, see, innate with every human being is you will always create time to learn the things you are personally interested in. And that's what drives you to. So if you look at the number of times, so let me give an example. Taiwo, for instance, is increasingly concerned about contribution. She's at a stage in her life and her work where the last 3 years, 4 years, she's just caught this bug for service and contribution and leadership and things like that. So what that does for her is it creates a pull effect towards anything and everything around leadership and contributions and talking to young people and being an influence. So you can almost tell that if you put 3 books in front of Taiwo, and one is, say, HR strategy, the other one is by Robin Sharma, Leadership Without Title, and then you see the way she smiled that I mentioned the leadership Without Title, and you put another book that says what title can I give her now? Traveling around the world and enjoying how to have the most effective vacation. Almost those 3 books and those 3 titles are important to her, right? But I can guarantee you that the natural pull will be towards that book that says Leadership Without Title. Why is that? She's pulled around, so anything she's learning around leadership and contribution is because she's pulled towards it. So in the workplace, it's easier to drive a learning culture if and when we can create learning programs around things that people are naturally pulled towards. So if your organization is given to service, it's given to innovation, it's given to something, and you have hired people rightly towards that, it becomes easier with or without COVID, with or without, see, even though some of us are run learning programs now and it's virtual, there is that challenge at the back of our mind around people even attending. Yeah. Even this call that we are on now, you are asking yourself, it's a Saturday, people can afford to be watching Premier League or sleeping. Are they pulled towards? So for everyone that is here, you are here because what we are talking about is an area of interest, with or without your job or with or without your organization, and you're pulled towards it. So the focus there is around when we create learning events that people are pulled towards, let's give them the tools and the enablement to make them do that. I'm sorry that I'm stretching this question a lot. I'm sorry. It's just important.
Very, very important.
On the left side, though, is the push model, the push effect, where it's like asking me to attend an HSC training or attend a training on anti-money laundering. It's important, it's critical, but I'm not naturally pulled towards it. So for such learning events at work, what you want to do is create an experience where people can learn from the excitement and the feelings they get from that program. So if you say, just look at the way we teach fire drill, and we try to get people used to observing fire drill in the office. If you create some game around it and make it exciting for people, it's amazing how they will look forward to it. Because if you just do it the way we normally do it, okay, I've gone downstairs, I've come back up, they get back to work straight. But if you weave a game or something exciting around it, which is why when we do when we teach team building, you have to create it around an experience so that it stays in people's mind. Those are the two big levers that I see around how we can drive learning culture in an organization. And that determines when and how you now do what program and duration and the kind of topics and things like that. Because there will be some things that people are naturally pulled towards. And so it's easier for them to learn those things. If you give them learning aids, learning materials, give them assignments, they will go and do it. But there are other areas where they are just not pulled towards it, but you have to sort of like push them towards that. And if you are doing that, make sure you create an experience around that learning program so it's easier for them to assimilate the learning. That's the way I like to say it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga.
Pleasure.
So we'll get contributions still on this from Mrs. Taiwo.
Okay, so just the way he has said, it's important that when you're curating learning within an organization, we need to be extremely creative and at the same time dynamic. Because while we know that companies want to invest in learning on topics or on courses that speak to their strategy, at the same time, learning could also be a retention tool, which speaks to what GT is saying, that yes, while at the beginning of the year, we are curating topics and learning for people that speak to the strategy, we must also be considerate in terms of what makes meaning to them. Because while at work, they're also building their career, and also they also want to be fulfilled. And when they are fulfilled, it's easier to retain them within the organization. So HR professionals or L&D professionals at this time need to be deliberate, need to be a bit intentional, and then put the employee into perspective. So I would rather say we go the design thinking route. Co-create at the beginning of the year. So when we're doing performance appraisal, one of the key things we look at is the IDP. Some call it IDP, some call it PDP. That's the individual development plan or the personal development plan. We're not campaigning here. Okay, let's stick to IDP. So that the employee would write out the trainings he or she would want to have. And then the line manager, they would discuss together and then forward to HR, and HR, based on their own justifications, will say, okay, personal development will take this training for this person, and then for the business, we'll also take this training for this person. So it's more around we being able to be dynamic and creative, and also flexible in how we curate learning programs in our various organizations. I hope I've been able to shed some light in that line.
Fantastic.
A fantastic one.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we'll move a bit deeper into this. I would like you to share from your experience, just to explain to us how, because a lot of the participants will be wondering how training or how learning, let me use the learning, take place at work. And so we would like you to share how learning actually takes place at work, and whose responsibility is it to ensure continuous learning? Is it the employee's responsibility? Is it the employer's responsibility? Is it HR? You know, the HR these days is more or less like he wears so many caps. So is it HR's responsibility? Whose responsibility is it to actually ensure that there's continuous learning in an organization?
So I want to break a myth here. Learning is L&D is no longer BAU, business as usual. Let's just give HR money, just go and spend money and just train our people. No, it's a sub-strategy in the big strategy because it has a part to play in the bottom line. So when, in terms of who is responsible, we have 4 people responsible. If I say, let me say 4 persons responsible. The employee has a part to play. The line manager has a part to play. HR has a part to play. And based on the topic we're talking today, the organization has a key part to play in terms of culture. If you do not have a learning culture, then learning will become more like an effort in futility because you will not get results. So it starts with a tone at the top. Leadership saying we want to have a learning culture. And who is pivotal to that? That's HR. HR drives that strategy. Now, we know that line managers are more keen about performance, developing the KPIs. HR needs to get the buy-in of the line managers and then work with them to ensure that learning is entrenched as a culture. Now, an employee being recruited into an organization from day one would adopt that culture. And so for us, let me give an example. In our own KPI, there's a 5% dedicated to learning. At the end of every year, every employee must show what they have invested in their own personal development in terms of courses and certifications in line with their profession or the business unit they work for, as well as the learnings that the company has also put on the platform for them to do. It's a key requirement in the KPIs of the employee. And that's the only way you can drive learning as a culture. So I won't say it's one person's personal responsibility. It's all encompassing and it's more like a strategy because at the end of the day, it speaks to the bottom line. So a smart organization would know that they may not be able to compete in terms of pricing, in terms of products. They could compete in terms of the quality of employees they have in their kitty. And it's also a function of how much they're ready to invest in them. So some will say you invest and they go, but ask yourself the reverse. If you don't invest, what's the quality of the people you want to have on board? Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Taiwo. That's so as part of the employees' KPI, I mean, that's key. They need to have learning as part of their KPI. So if I know that I'm supposed to make a contribution in terms of my personal development, my development as a person, and then that accounts in my KPI, I will find a way. I'll be just like the push factor that Mr. Gbenga talked about, and then be able to invest in that. Thank you so much. So Mr. Gbenga and Mrs. Abdulkareem, the platform, we're still waiting. I mean, there's a lot. Today we are just going to, we've just connected our pipe to your wealth of experience, and we're just drilling and sucking all the oil out of.
I honestly didn't think there was need to add to the way Taiwo just answered.
Hello?
Let me just give you life.
Hello.
My teacher.
Let me just give you a life example, and I'm sure Taiwo and Karim can add to this. So two things. For instance, I have seen a staff of my organization at Consolidated Remark Insurance that is on this call. He is not in HR. It has nothing to do with, in fact, speaking purely, I was surprised when I saw him here. But what I've noticed is since I joined the organization and we started talking, we developed a relationship, he just said, oh, he witnessed one of my sessions and I was like, oh, I seem to do this. I said, yeah, I love it, this is who I am. And almost at any point that I put up anything around attending the program, I just see him, sure. And that's Gilbert. Gilbert, don't worry, I see you in the house. And I'm happy to see that. Now, what that does for someone like me is I know the number of people I lead in the organization. And almost by default, I am mentally picking up someone who is displaying an hunger to learn. And I was not surprised when he also now approached me by himself and say, okay, this is the level that I am in. I really want to grow in this insurance space. Can you please help me? What do I need to do? So that was not HR designing. That was not policy. That was not the CEO. Those things are crucial. And in an ever-changing world of work, I am telling you what is going through the mind of the average HR person. We are looking for that willing employee who is saying, you know what, even if you don't have a learning policy, if you have a zero budget for learning, I'm going to take 10%, 5% of my salary and invest that in my personal learning. Because come to think of it, why do we really work? I'm always asking people that question. Why do we work? Do we work to earn a salary for which we live? Or do we work to continually learn and grow and increase in value and subsequently pay back our organizations? If we go the second route, you will see the need for us to invest continually, because there will be this sense of urgency or perhaps gratitude that you say, you know what, I have a job. There are other people who deserve this job, and I'm not going to fall below expectations. So I'm going to continually grow and increase my value in this organization. In my last 3 months, I've been in interviews, and it's amazing how you are trying to recruit, you are filling a role, and you've shortlisted down to 5 candidates. And all of a sudden you are saying, this person is 25, this person is 25. So you are then trying to find something to make a final decision. And you then go, okay, I know this whole question of what's your plan for the next 5 years. I know it sounds like, don't ask me that now because of COVID, but I have seen cases where we then ask someone, okay, since you left school, what have you done in terms of your personal growth, in terms of certifications, in terms of additional learning? And they go, nothing, I couldn't, I have, or I see someone who goes, I aspire to be an HR person, so let me go there. And I say, okay, so in the last 1 year, what have you done in the direction of that goal? And they go, nothing. And then you're talking to the next person, same age, same resources, same challenge with time.
Yeah.
And even where the person have not started, the person is telling you, I bought the form, I have registered. I'm waiting for when they are doing the exams. And I'm telling you from experience, I've seen cases where I then say, okay, HR, CIPM. Or I don't even say CIPM, which is a local body in Nigeria. I then say, okay, what are your plans? And then you will hear, and this is not in any way, I'm not canvassing. What you will hear is, oh, I'm planning, I've been told by my mentor, I should do SHRM, which is in America. And then you go, okay, so what have you done? Nothing. And then you go, okay, do you CIPM in Nigeria? They say, I'm not sure, what's that? And then you explain. And I say, okay, I don't know. I'm just hearing it for the first time. How on earth do you then expect me to believe that you are really concerned about that career? I would take the other person because he or she has demonstrated in it, as little as it sounds, there is a move on that person's side to get something done about his or her learning. If you now bring that person to the work environment, they will not give you troubles about if you are not sending me to LBS. If the training is not physical, it's not training. If you are not paying, you don't hear people say, if you are not paying for my ICANN, you are not paying for my this, and what kind of organization is this? Yeah. I hear people come at interviews and say, what is your plan to support the growth of employees? Please, what is your plan to also bring value
to support your growth? Absolutely.
So
balance here, because the world of work has changed, that is changing. We are then looking for that simple thing. From what you earn, from 50,000 to 40,000 to 70,000, please commit 5,000 naira, commit 2,000 naira. I know it's Nigeria, I know it's Africa, I know it's hard, but it's your career. Commit that little amount to your own growth and to me as the HR person to say, this is my effort, this is my own plan. How can the organization now support me? I like to stop at this point.
Absolutely. That was spot on, GT. That was, and I love your line of thoughts. So a lot of people ask that question to know the organization is not doing anything for me, so I'm not going to do anything for myself. They've not sent me on training. They've not sent me. They have not done my refund for my professional examinations. So because of that, they just get stagnated in organization. So your learning is under your own, you are responsible. You are responsible for your development.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You are responsible for your development. So what have you done? Even if you are doing, so I've had the course to have my managing director approve a refund for a staff that has been doing an exam on his own. And he got to hear about it, that, oh, this guy has been doing this exam, and he's using this, the capability that he's getting from here, competencies rather, and he's using it for the organization. The managing director got to know about it, and I said, refund, and this is in dollars. Reform for like 2 years, he has been updating, improving, developing himself on this software development. And the managing director said, approve everything for 2 years. It was as if you won a jackpot. So when you put your training at your hand, if you have it in your hand, then management will see it. And they will, even what your contribution in the office will show. Your decision-making skill will show, your critical thinking. So people will see you, you'll be visible. So the way you even act in the office will be different from others. And then that promotion, that enhancement, that recognition you look for will come naturally, Just like Taiwo has said, even in my organization too, we use the balance scorecard. And at the end of that balance scorecard is learning and growth. So what are you responsible for? So I want to know how many knowledge sharing sessions that you've done, how many capacity building, maybe as a leader, or how many training have you gone for, either local or international? So how many times have you taken reports at meetings, executive meetings, departmental meetings, or team meetings? So that is very, very key. So you develop yourself, the company will see you, management will see you as a result of your contribution, and they will recognize you at the end of the day. It is very, very important. And rightly put by TDA, the responsibility of training is on leaders, the leaders in the C-suite, on the employee themselves, on the line manager, and HR facilitates. HR facilitate, HR drive, HR coordinates. But we need all these three actors to be able to successfully manage learning and organization. Thank you.
If I can quickly add, we're talking about learning as a culture, and I mentioned something around creativity. So there are ways we could be creative around it. So for my organization, if you do your professional certification, we do 100% refund back to you on whatever you spent. Also, we ensure that departments during their weekly meetings dedicate 30 minutes to a KIP. KIP means Knowledge Improvement Program. So departments will submit their timetable and with their topics and their speakers. Every week during their meetings, somebody would share something new. How to, even as low as how to make akara.
Yes.
Just share something. Just trying to imbibe culture, learning as a culture within the organization. So at all meetings, we have strategy sessions, we have all those sessions where we make sure that culture plays a key part. That's where we are trying to be creative around entrenching culture and learning as a culture. Thank you.
That's amazing right there. And for people looking at how to drive such things, it can be as little as book exchange. So you go to a particular department and you say, for the year, these are the books you should read. And then in each of the weekly or monthly meetings, read a chapter. See, the moment you do, so for a start, it might look like you are forcing people, right? But over time, you will see the right people responding to it. And then it becomes a culture where, oh, ahead of that meeting, someone is telling someone else, oh, please, you are the one presenting tomorrow. Are you ready? And things like that. And then it becomes a part of it. Because see, guys, learning is so dynamic these days that we can't wait until there's a physical session. We can't wait. Ahead of this session, for instance,
not any longer.
I always do this. Ahead of this session, I have to go and look in my start and say, what fresh thing can I say? And I went for this book, Learn How People Learn. I had to go and look for it to say, okay, so this learning thing. And there, I bought this book like 3 years ago, How People Learn. And I just told myself, okay, I was speaking for like an hour. There's got to be something fresh I can pick up and refer. And I went there and I picked it up. So it's become now a part of me. That's what we're emphasizing here. So HR has that responsibility of designing it. The individual should, and please, there will be some people on this call. where your discouragement is that even when you are making this effort, the organization is shutting you down, or a line manager is shutting you down. Please, I hear you, I see you, I've been there before, but you've got to bury your head and keep on that learning culture, keep on that learning drive, because it's a matter of time. You will outgrow the organization, and then the market will come for you. But if you then decide to stop because a colleague, a friend, a line manager is not allowing you to do it, there's somebody on this call, and I'm sorry I'm having to do this. Mr. Olagamikon is on this call.
Yeah.
We've been friends. You may not know, Taiwo. We've been friends since 2006. And we met at a Philips consulting program in 2006 that I paid 70,000 naira for from my own money. That was where we met. And we've been friends since that time, 2006. How did I get the time off? They didn't give me a leave approval at work. So what I did was I went to my boss and I said, I have a program I want to go for next week. So if there's anything you need me to do next week, give me now. So I will do all the work I need to do such that if I'm not at work for 2 days, you won't feel my impact. That was how I got that. And it was from my monthly contributions at work. I'm sure some of us can relate to this, savings that I tied around being able to pay for that program. So I'd seen the calendar earlier in the year, I cut the newspaper, I fixed the date, and I kept calling. And it was the very first time I was entering Philips Consulting. And that was one area where it was that meeting, entering that Philips Consulting office, that sort of sparked the consultant in me, because I walked in there and I felt, this looked like the place I would like to work. These people walking up and down, these people teaching. Abiola then, that is now a digital jewel, she was at Philips Consulting then, were people who spoke to the consultant in me. Today is not the organization that sent me for that. I sent myself. I had a very great relationship started from 2006 till now, and I'm grateful for it. That's what I'm referring to.
Wow, amazing.
Sorry, I get emotional around learning. I get very...
this... Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Gbenga. Thank you, Mrs. Taiwo. Thank you so much, Mrs. Abdulkareem. This has been very insightful. I must say. No, time is not up. We are. I mean, this. I knew I was going to be in the midst of 3 big masquerades, but it's mind blowing. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we'll move a bit down to specifics. This goes to Mrs. Abdulkareem. How do organizations prevent hoarding of knowledge by employees? We've talked about the fact that an employee can actually invest in his personal development, and the organization is actually paying for the employees' expert knowledge, and then it's expected that at some point he or she has to pass the knowledge down, but for some reasons, the person is just hoarding the knowledge. How do you ensure that, how do you handle that? How do you prevent that in the first place?
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Sam. Thank you. I remember gonna those days where people keep what they know they are learning because they don't want their job to be taken away from them. So organization these days has moved beyond that. So maybe we should even be talking about why do even people hoard knowledge in the first place? So we have people that have employees that have developed a niche in an area, and they believe I've spent so much in this area and I don't want people to know about it. So I have to keep it to myself first, so that'll be indispensable. So people hoard information because of that. So they want people to come to them to ask for that knowledge, and they'll be dishing it out one after the other. So secondly, we have people that love and enjoy seniority. They enjoy superiority. Oh, no. They want to be, they always want to be popular. They always want to be, I'm the senior here, I'm the boss here. Yeah, so when they go on leave, they want people to always call them. Please, I'm going to attend to you later. Oh, I'll call you back. Don't worry, send a chat to me. No, please, can you explain what you need on a mail? I'll attend to that mail. So we have people like that too. So they hoard information because of seniority. And another way is we even have line managers that are even encouraging their teams to hoard information. You will hear some line managers saying, Please, when internal audit comes there, please don't give them that information. Tell them you don't have that information. Let them go and search for it elsewhere. So we have line manager that doesn't even have, they have fixed mindsets. So they even encourage their team. So anybody, any team or any department that come to them, they tell them, oh, I don't have the information, maybe you should go and meet my line manager. So we have leaders who also encourage that. So how can we prevent this? So there are lots of ways, many ways we can prevent audit of information, because you can now see with what we've been discussing so far, there is always a positive correlation between learning and profitability, between learning and business success. So what can we do this? It's also from the leader, why HR coordinates, because we are always in the picture of this. So we have to acknowledge, we have to recognize expertise. We have to recognize, we have to acknowledge expertise. So let your staff know that they are doing this well. Let them know that you have this capacity and they are happy that they have it and they are recognized that they have it. So I've been in several meetings with executive where we'll see my MD say, please, I want to appreciate this set of people. I want to appreciate this set of people because they have done this well for me. For recently, it was even in the lockdown, my manager called out people and mentioned their name one after the other, that this person did this person did this. I'm amazed at their capacity. So if you need anything, you go to them. So when you acknowledge people, they feel highly motivated and they will be willing and ready to share. So what can we also do again? You make sure we have a team that is collaborative. You put people in project teams. Let them co-create. Let them think together. It's just like a design thinking. You solve people's problem with people. Let them come together. They have the answers. You don't micromanage them. So when they know we're in this project team to work, they are willing to give their best, because as a team, they share the same belief, they share the same goal. So when I know that I have a team of 15, I have a team of 10, we will all work together and we'll help ourselves to achieve the goal of that team. And again, I would like to add that if you have a knowledge management system in place, that will help a great deal. So when you have, for instance, in my organization, Lead Reassurance, we have what we call SharePoints. We have SharePoints where everybody can go to and pick out their learnings. So I may decide to want to do something around internal control. I want to do something around strategy. I want to do something around investment, and I don't have an idea. You can go to the SharePoint because it's arranged according to department, and click on the department that you so desire so that you can learn from them. So if there's any area or any technical language that you think is not clear, you can always call the HOD or even any member of the team, and they are willing to help you out. So you have a system like a SharePoint where everybody can go into. So other example is when you have focus groups. You have focus groups, you have you have village meetings, town hall meetings, when everybody can discuss, deliberate on matters, and people are willing, they are happy that my contribution matters. What I'm saying makes sense to management. And you see it the next day that what you have even said has been implemented. So I have a lot of people that have done onboarding for, and at the end of the 6 months, we asked them to do presentation to the management on what they've done in the last 6 months. And you'll be shocked that they bring recommendation, they bring observation from the company, and before you know it, you will see those recommendations being implemented, being worked upon before you know it. And you will be happy as a staff that, oh, I just joined this company 6 months ago. And what I just said jokingly, I just said it in a seminar, is already being executed. So I have my staff who was talking about Vanity Park when she came, and she was shocked the next week. She saw it in her restroom, the restrooms in the office, the Vanity Park, where you can pick your needles, where you can pick your safety pin, office pin. She came to me that, Mrs. Abdulkareem, I just said this last week. I said, yes, because it's a valid point that you've raised. So such a staff will be happy, they will be engaged, they will be willing to give back to the organization because of what you have done for them. That will be all for me for now. Thank you.
A bit there, when we're trying to introduce HR initiatives in our organizations in different levels. And so one of our initiatives for last year was to build a faculty, also trying to warehouse knowledge, and also to prevent hoarding. So we identified subject matter experts, and then we encouraged them to prepare their modules. which we warehoused in HR. Then we also had an internal training plan whereby we made them to facilitate sessions within the organization. And the funny thing, we paid them honorarium. I paid them honorarium. Yes. So, you know, it was exciting for them. So people were able to come to HR and say, oh, I'm good in this area. I could do Excel, basic and intermediate. Oh, really? Okay, fine. Prepare your modules, we'll structure it out. And we had sessions. So we had people going through Excel training, basic, intermediate, and advanced in-house. We issued internal certificates from our own training school to employees, and we paid honorarium to those employees. So it was more like a, in quote, side hustle for them. And so we were able to get experts and then keep them in-house and also be able to warehouse knowledge and also to share. And at the end of the day, we were still able to save costs. So HR got a plus in that area. Good one.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma, for that elaborate answer. We'll just take this question and it will go to the three panelists. So we're looking at, in the event of new developments at work, how can the organization adjust? So how can an organization end an ode on ethical culture and encourage a new one?
Okay, so I think culture is my space. So, and it's what I've done over time, and I always find it interesting. Though it puts you at the initial stage on the negative side with employees because they want to bash you when you're trying to change and transform people and culture, people. But at the end of the day, they are better off for it. So in terms of being able to entrench and also to be able to remove bad culture, we should also know that we have to replace one with the other because nature abhors vacuum. Nature abhors vacuum. We're trying to stop something, you must introduce something to ensure that there's a balance. One of the things we did was to, first of all, get our sanction grid in place. Get our sanction grid in place and also get our reward policy in place. So we want to reward you for entrenching or reinforcing. The reward policy was to reinforce good culture. And then the sanction grid was to discontinue. And also there must be action. So that level of complacency when people misbehave and nothing happens was eradicated because immediately you get a query, immediately if it's a sanctionable offense, you go through a DC, you work out the process up to, we will announce, we may send an email and announce what you have done and the sanction so that you want to quell rumors within the organization. So for example, if I'm terminating an employee, immediately I send an email to everyone. They are all, please be informed that so and so person has been terminated for this reason. And so you're sending a signal that there is zero tolerance for misbehavior. At the same time, when people do something that is good, there are commendation letters that will be given. You mention them at village meetings or at your Thank God It's Friday events. You are reinforcing the good culture. So yeah, that's what we're able to do within our own space. And has it worked? Yes. Initially it was a struggle, but over time, we've been able to entrench it and it has worked. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Sorry. For us, in my environment, it's a new journey for us. A number of things has been done in the past. A number of things we are just starting out and trying to reinforce, like Taiwo said as well. But the interesting thing that I have seen is HR must be found to be credible. HR must be found to be credible. Either you're advising senior management or employees on what's to be done, it must come from a place of credibility. So that we are really doing now and increasing, that's the second thing we're doing, increasing that engagement with employees. It's never easy where HR gets to sit on that thin line, representing management and equally representing employees. We've made some progress with that, and it's my hope that in the new year, we can just step up from that position. So anything and everything HR does there's almost like a perception of fairness and correctness from employees across grades. So that those are the things that were hard to what Taiwo just said, and we're seeing results already.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay. Mrs. Abdulkareem.
Thank you. They've said it all. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we are trying to wind up. Left from here, I would have just said that we'll take another like 45 minutes. I have lots of questions to ask, but I'm meant to understand that we also have other engagements. So, but we'll take this question because it's very important. And I'm biased. I'm particularly interested in this question because when the three of you came on this call, I realized that you already had a close professional relationship before now. And somehow, Rome Business School wasn't fully aware of this before bringing the three of you on this call. I must be sincere. So, I'm going to ask now, how do organizations consciously encourage peer review and networking of colleagues across organizations within the same industry? I mean, the two of you are in the same industry, so how? Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when I actually saw the members of the panel, and I saw that, oh, they were my goons. I'll call them my goons. Yes, we are all professional colleagues and we are friends. And it has also helped, we have helped ourselves across our organizations in terms, yes, they're my competitors, but at the same time, we've been able to strike a balance in being able to imbibe what's going on in your organization, how can it work for my own space. So I would say for the insurance industry, we're doing well because we have a strong association, and that's the NIA. And at the NIA, each business unit have their committee representative. So for human resources, we have the HCM, Human Capital Management Committee of the Nigerian Insurance Association. And so we have our monthly meetings, and even during those monthly meetings, we have our KIPs. And then we have a very robust WhatsApp platforms whereby we share views in terms of what's going on in your organization, what can I do, or how can you help? And I think that has really, really helped us. And because we believe that the quality of any industry is a function of who is running what. And if you want to be a lone ranger, at the end of the day, you are not really helping that industry. So we can't afford to be averse to sharing knowledge amongst ourselves, even though we know that we are competitors. I won't tell them my trade secrets, but they're general information we could share amongst ourselves, which we share amongst ourselves to strengthen our organization. So it's good for us in the insurance industry. And we know that we're just starting. We're coming with like
wow. So, and it's something that can be replicated in other industries.
Yes.
I would but for
it's possible. I think it's something
depends on how
can pick. I think it's something that
how closely knitted they are.
I also believe that for us as individuals, we must make deliberate and conscious effort to develop our hierarchy. You just need to go out of your comfort space, make friends,
of your zone,
deliberately connect with people. Go for people like GT is a professor. I'm laying under him. Kaosara, she's a prof.
Auntie is my teacher.
I'm laying under her. So you have to be humble. Humble yourself and go for the trailblazer.
Lifelong learners.
From them. So you can also empower yourself. So that's what I have done. Deliberate intentions to make friends with people that will add value to me. Because you know what, it's also a function of my own KPI in my organization. The more value I add to myself, the more value I can bring to the table to be able to maintain my seat at that table. So I'm learning from GT and Kaosara.
Exactly.
No, Sam, don't join that battle, please.
Oh my.
But what I like to add
fantastic.
honestly, what I'd like to add to it, and thank you, Tola, for bringing that up. I will admit that there is an industry-wide challenge that may be affecting this. The insurance industry is old, closed, and if you are not careful, I'll use the word dark. Because for far too long, the industry did not encourage new thinking, new players, new talent, even from the financial services space, investment banking, pure banking, market banking, and all that. Did not attract players from within the sector, the industry, into the insurance sector. That was one. Two, the insurance industry did not deliberately go after young talent. Did not. In fact, when I joined this organization, when I joined Consolidated Remark Insurance, this would be almost on the 5th of February, will be 4 months ago. I had people who reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, "Why on earth did you leave CFPM?" I said, "Well, I agree." I said, "I hear what you are not saying. What you're also saying is, why on earth would you now go to an insurance company?" I was like, "Well, you will soon know. Thank you very much." Now, even by activities on the stock exchange and what's going on in the industry and all of that, there's a lot of attention on our space. But even from the outside and on the inside, I can tell you for free, it took a while before the insurance industry got to this point where, I mean, if and Taiwo, you can correct me, I will probably not be a group head HR in an insurance group of companies. This would not have happened maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago. It would probably not have happened. Because it would be like, I am not old enough, I have not practiced in the industry, I will not understand. And it took a while before the industries, and now it's happening. People are being hired from banking. I know a company is considering something to do in retail, and guess where they went? They went to FMCG to find someone who understands retail to come and aid their retail strategy. So that is beginning to happen. And to everyone on this call, I'm proud to be a member of this association. I'm proud to be in insurance space. I'll be here for a while. And it's fun, and things are changing. And we have colleagues like this in the space that makes it easier to exchange ideas, exchange thoughts, and share learning. I even started interacting with professionals in this space before I came in. So and that made it easier for me the moment I came in. Our next challenge, though, is affecting the industry and moving the industry forward and making the industry. I'm sure some people on this call and they're wondering if 3 of us are working in insurance because we've made it exciting and fun. I bet to say you've not had an exciting panel like this before at Rome, right? And for people who are at Rome Business School, rather, and people who are here, trust me, if you're looking at a career in finance for the next 5 years or 7 years, the insurance sector is the space to come to.
I know. There's a lot of transformation happening in insurance.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of
transformation.
Absolutely.
That was what brought me, that was what attracted me to that sector, and the change is happening big time. Big time.
Yes. Transformation, yeah. Absolutely.
By the way, we don't have an insurance policy. Let's talk.
Off your mic. Off your mic. Off your mic.
We are shaking tables. We are shaking tables.
Wow.
I have to report it to the KPI. Don't worry. I have to say.
Not a problem. Wow, it's really been an amazing session with you. Someone was asking on the comments section, so why do people generally believe that employees in the banking industry are superior to those in the insurance industry? And what are you doing to change this? I believe you've talked about it, Mr. Gbenga.
Yes, it's already happening. It's already happening. Yes. Yeah.
So in the last 9 months, I've attracted 3 bankers into my organization. Yeah. It's the kind so many of them change now. And transformation happening. We want the best hands. We want the best talent in town. So 3 bankers currently in my organization, and I'm still going for more.
Wow. The 2 panelists make I'm beginning to feel like I'm left out, but I know that. Wow, but it's been an amazing session, and just still on it, I would want to hear your final words on this topic. We've said a lot in terms of creating a learning culture in a workplace. And we just want to hear your final thoughts. And I know a lot of persons are looking forward to the recordings of this session. I believe my colleague from the Career Services of Rome Business School shared a survey. So just fill the survey, and then your email address will be captured where you can swear. We'll send you the link to the recording of this session.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Final words from me. I would like to say I really appreciate this discussion. It's very value add for me. And meeting my colleague in the industry, it's a lot of, it's a joy to me. So finally, I would like to say with what has been discussed so far, we now have to start asking ourselves the big questions. We need to start. Now we understand the importance of learning. We now understand the importance of having a learning culture in our industry. Then we have to start asking these questions. So maybe not necessarily to be answered today. Maybe we should ask our HR, maybe we should start asking the line managers, maybe we should start asking the leaders in the business. So our employee learning what they should learn to excel in their workplace. We should be asking that question now. Are leaders supporting supporting employee in learning? Are they encouraging them to learn? Are they the type that when it comes to development, they are always willing and motivated to support that staff? So how do our employer, are they seeing learning? How are they perceiving learning? Did they see it as punitive? Did they see it as something that I just need to do now to be able to discharge my current responsibility? Or are they seeing it as something that I will need long term that will help me individually and also help the organization? Do we ask, let's start asking, are our leaders approachable when it comes to learning? Are we ready to develop our staff? Our culture transformative? Are they instructive? Are they destructive? Let's start asking that question. So what are we doing around learning is what we'll be asking ourselves. Now that we know that it's very, very important for us to have this culture so that we will have a set of employees who are ready, highly motivated to learn, to apply, to share, and to expand their knowledge in the organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma.
I'd like to, I want to respect my elders, so I want Taiwo to close the session. That's why I'm jumping in. You can't do anything to me, we are online. Maybe I'd like to do speak to young colleagues who are on this call. And my encouragement to you is please don't let anyone tell you you can't do the things you're dreaming about. Don't let anyone. One of my former bosses, Bolaji Olagunjo Workforce, put out something recently and it got my attention. He calls them the committee of discouragers or something like that. Don't let anyone tell you you can't go after your dreams. Give yourself the mental permission to pursue excellence. Pursue excellence. See, if it's taking you 5 years, 7 years to bury your head and keep growing in value, and nobody knows you in the market, it's okay. Because trust me, being known by everybody can be a burden, and if you're not ready for it, you may crash under the weight of it. Don't forget the big titles. This week I was telling someone that, high level, high sounding strategies rest on a base of administrative effectiveness. So even if right now your role does not sound strategic enough and you work for Okoro and Sons, please stay there. Don't let your reason for wanting to leave be because someone else is putting you under some sort of performance pressure. Learn, stay there, learn, build your muscle, bury your head, deepen your competence, keep your dreams high. In my own world, I have learned to believe that you are in charge of your career growth, right? But you outgrow each level as you increase in value. And I am a living proof that if the current organization where you work is not contributing to that value, which is not what most people think it is, even if you are not doing things right, you are learning from how not to do it. If you have been over-labored, you are learning from how to manage yourself, manage your energy, and it's just stay there. At the right point, the opportunities will show, right? That's one. Two is, please, this HR work is evolving at a pace that is alarming. I'm telling you, there's so much to be done, there's so much to learn, but then pace yourself. Don't burn out. Don't dissipate your energy in trying to learn too many things at the same time. Like I've said repeatedly, sometimes it's easy to chase one thing in 5 months than chasing 5 things in 5 months. Whilst you can multitask, you may struggle to multi-focus, right? So bury your head in 1, 2, 3 things that you want to deepen your competence in, and the opportunities will show up. But just in case I couldn't answer any of your questions and you want us to continue a conversation, I'm increasingly available on digital channels. So please, it's Gbenga Totoyi, at Gbenga Totoyi on all channels. Let's talk. I'm willing. I'm more available this year to support people's career journeys. And yes, it's a journey. You will not jump into becoming group head one day. And don't let the current group head put you under pressure. Even if you are currently officer, that's who you are, that's where you are, that's what you can carry. But do you need occasionally to find someone to talk to and encourage you on this journey? Yes, you can. And so let's talk. And yeah, that's it for me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Sam. Thank you to the entire faculty of Rome Business School. I've enjoyed myself. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga. Mrs. Taiwo.
Yes, Gbenga Totoyi. Why is it only me you're calling Mr. Gbenga? You call Taiwo now. You didn't say Mrs. Taiwo. You didn't say Mrs.
No, I'm
You should show your behavior, Sha. Okay. So from my end, I would say that culture is the DNA of any organization, and culture drives everything within any organization. I will also say that it's important that a company should have a learning culture, and they must have a deliberate strategy around learning. I would also say that please try and invest in your own personal development, because it's first of all about you before the organization or anything. I would say finally, for every seat you occupy, you must be credible. You are the one bringing value to that seat you are sitting on. And so find a way to ensure that you are credible. And if you're talking about credibility, it also links to authenticity. You have to be authentic. And you can only be authentic if you are continuously putting yourself at the place of learning. You must continuously learn so that you are authentic in bringing to bear what you have learned and what you have put to use. So it's not theory. Every one of us here have shared our views. And you can see at one point in time, we've had to make reference to the organizations we work for. That means that, yes, we know the book knowledge, we are also practicalizing what we have learned. And that all encompasses your credibility as a person. You bring value to yourself first before you bring it to the seat that you occupy. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am sincerely grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again. I will still say it, Mr. Gbenga. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Taiwo. Thank you so much, Mrs. Abdulkareem. It's been an interesting session, and I'm very much privileged to have moderated this session and then to have escorted the big masquerades to the market. Meanwhile, my face was not covered anyway, but because I am not in the class of the masquerades yet. However, I believe I will join very soon. But on a more serious note, I believe everyone on this call has gotten much value as relates to this topic, and it has been an interesting session. And to everyone on this call, I will say thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great time, and we sincerely appreciate you joining us. The Rome Business School HR Roundtable is a session for HR professionals and also all other business leaders that want to learn more about the HR profession. And so we've come to the point where I will call on our program director just to give us a closing remark on this. So I'll call on Dr. Adobe Ariguzo to give us a closing remark. Dr. Adobe.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good evening for those just
Dr.
joining. My name is Dr.
Your network.
I'm particularly excited at the whole session. I've watched and listened. Thank you to Abdulkareem. I would like to say, can you hear me, please?
Hear you now, ma.
Can you hear me, please? Okay, so I had to step outside.
Oh.
Perfect. Okay, I was saying I want to say a big thank you to the panelists, Taiwo, Abdulkareem, and Mr. I'm following Sam. I'm calling you Mr. It's a very big thank you to all three of you. Indeed, you guys are the real masquerades in the marketplace, and you have actually done justice to this topic. It is indeed nice to know that learning is a way of life, not just to individuals, but even to organizations, because organizations are actually handled by the people who make learning important and make the work more and more beautiful. I want to welcome everybody into this session. This is Rome Business School, a place where we try to ensure that we can build better managers for a better world. I want to say thank you to you all. You have given us a lot of insight. I welcome all the prospective students who have come on board, and to my excellent, esteemed students who have always made Rome Business School a place to be. I want to say a big thank you to you. I'm going to ask those that were advertising their industry on Rome Business School platform. Sam, please take note. We need to send our invoice right down. Okay, so that we can, complete the transaction from the back end.
Yes,
I want to let you all know, first things first, many thanks from the Dean of Rome Business School, Professor Antonio Ragusa, right from Italy, and many appreciations from our country director, Dr. Humphrey Akanazu. They very much appreciate the fact that you all were able to attend this session and have been fully informed of the way forward, because learning continues to be the way of life of everybody, even from the little child that has been born right up to the adult that is still intending to make progress in life. In Rome Business School, we do not only have the International Human Resources Management, which also has some form of relationship with Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. As a student of IHRM, you have a lot more going for you in terms of CIPM, because we have waivers on certain levels once you join in in your master's program. We also have a host of other programs like our Executive Masters in Business Administration. We have the Agribusiness, Masters in Agribusiness Management. We have Masters in Data Science. We have Masters in Marketing and Communication and Marketing and Sales. And most importantly, we have Masters in Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So I'm certain that all entrepreneurs desiring to come into this space would realize that this is actually a place to be, because learning continues to remain a great place for everyone wishing to move from this level to the next. At this point, I would like to say thank you once again, and I will be handing the mic back to Sam. Don't forget my invoice. Thank you.
Not a problem, Doc. Thank you so much, Dr. Adobe. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gbenga. Thank you, Mrs. Taiwo. Thank you, Mrs. Abdulkareem. It's been an interesting session, and I will still come over for extramural classes. Thank you, everyone. And thanks to everyone that joined us on this platform. You say, sir?
It is very moderate.
I thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga. Thank you, Mrs. Taiwo and Mrs. Abdulkareem. It's a privilege having you on this platform, and we really enjoyed you this session. And I believe that's the same for everyone that was on this call. And for our participants, you can always reach out to the panelists on their social media handles, especially engage them on LinkedIn. And if there's any question they were not able to answer, you can just reach out to them and connect with them. I believe for the new year, these are the kind of resource persons that we can connect to for learning. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Taiwo. See you at 5.
GT, see you at 5. Kaosara, see you at 5.
Thank
Just
you.
move over to the other zone. Just
To
move
the
over.
other side. Can we take group photograph? I want to take photograph.
Let's go ahead. Why not?
Thank you
Okay,
so
okay,
much,
so
our panelists.
for the other participants that are online, maybe if you're free, you can just share your video.
Gilbert,
We can take a group photograph.
I see so many founders online. Please put on your video. Let's take a picture.
Yeah, just on your video, let's take a picture.
Area, Titi Layo.
The host has disabled our video.
Oh,
wow.
This host that his hand used to move somehow.
Okay, see you all next time. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Felix.
So you can unmute yourself and just say thank you to our panelists.
Thank you to all the panelists.
Thank you so much.
Very insightful session. I enjoyed every bit of it. God bless you all.
It's really
very much.
You guys are top notch. Thank you.
I learned a lot.
Top notch.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Really insightful.
Thank you so very much.
Grazie, grazie.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
That's wonderful news. I'm so happy. Thank you, sir.
Right.
That's such a wonderful
Thank you all.
announcement.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the rest
Very
of the day.
beautiful session. Thank you, Mr. Gbenga. Thank you, Taiwo. Thank you, Abdulkareem.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Career Services. And thank you, our great moderator, Mr. Sam.
Thank you,
so
Doc.
much.
Happy weekend.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sam. Thank you for moderating very well. Thank you.
Yeah, Sam was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. I enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.